Hudson Valley Weather Senior Forecaster Bill Potter with a Hurricane Irma update as of 11 a.m. on Monday, September 4th. Happy Labor Day, everyone. Um, just wanted to do a video to follow up our post and commentary from Sunday night with regards to Irma and discuss some of the trends that we're seeing, as well as just try and explain as clearly as we can that while we don't want people to be unprepared by any stretch, that it's really not worth panicking and scrambling at this point and changing plans. We've received a lot of questions from people wondering if it's time to change plans, things like that, and we just want to try and put things in perspective. So here we are as of 11 a.m. Monday. Hurricane Irma is a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 120 miles per hour. Right now, it is moving slightly west-southwest around 14 miles per hour, and you can see that it's projected to slowly curve and that trend become more west-northwest over time. You can see right now we do have some hurricane warnings for Antigua, St. Martin, and St. Kitts area. Those are the islands, some of the islands currently under hurricane warning. Over here by Puerto Rico, right now we're under hurricane watch. That also extends to the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, St. Croix, Tortola. Those areas are under hurricane watch as we continue to track Hurricane Irma and see exactly the path that it'll take. You can see this is the National Weather Service's projection over the next 5 days. Each time you see this M, that indicates that the hurricane is a major hurricane, which has winds greater than 110 miles per hour. Our projection last night indicated we expected probably a 3 to 4 category hurricane throughout most of the time period that you're going to see here. No real changes to that. What we are seeing is a bit of a change in the trend as far as the track of this. You'll notice that this is a bit further south than what we saw last night. That's due to computer model data slowly starting to get an idea. They want to take it a little bit further south, so this upward trend right away into the Southwest Atlantic looks a little less likely, with most of the data now trying to pull it in toward the Bahamas, toward Cuba, possibly eventually toward South Florida. Again, we got to see, because all it takes is a frontal boundary to come barreling out of the southeast United States and run into this thing, and it can completely change direction and push it northeast. I mean, that's on the table. So again, the trend is further south. The trend is toward the Bahamas, toward Cuba. But again, want to keep this in perspective. This is 5 days away here, Saturday a.m. So a lot can happen between Monday morning and Saturday morning. So, it's best to be vigilant, keep an eye on it, but not to get too crazy. I want to show you the sea surface temperatures here, and anywhere you see oranges and reds, the sea surface temperatures are above average. So you can see there's plenty of warm water to work with here. So there's going to be plenty of fuel for Irma. It's going to strengthen, with very little wind shear out in front of it. It does project to strengthen a bit more and more each day. So, that's something to be aware of. The conditions for development are favorable. A little side note real quick. If you notice over here off southeast Texas, this cool pool, this is because of what Hurricane Harvey did. It churned up these waters for several days and actually has cooled the water off the coast of Texas and Louisiana. So, something that you can see visually is a remnant of Harvey. It's kind of, a weather nerdy type thing, but wanted to show you. Again, these continue to be these are the European model ensemble forecast. You can see that the trend is pretty defined, north of Puerto Rico, and then pushes it toward Cuba and the Bahamas, and then once it gets into this area where it gets a little more uncertain. Where's it going to go from there? That's going to be the hard thing to figure out. You can see the GFS model, similar thing. It's pretty consistent up until, somewhere around the Bahamas. Then it spreads out, and it's pretty much beyond day 4 and 5 that gets really uncertain. So just something to be aware of. What I wanted to show you though is real quick the trend in the model data over the last couple of days, 2-3 days, I believe it is. This was September 1st, so around, what was that, September 1st, so Friday afternoon. I mean, the Friday afternoon GFS model had a 948 millibar, probably category 3 hurricane hitting New York City. So, that's what started this frenzy. But I want to show you what's happened since then. All right, just watch. So this is going to be the trend. So what you're going to see is the same forecast moment in time. So this is basically forecasting for Sunday afternoon. All right, watch what each new model projects. You can watch it slowly pushes it south. So it starts at New York City, and the next runs a little further south, then back up north, another New York City impact, but then it starts to shift south. Now it's off the coast of North Carolina. Now it's a little further south, a little further south. You see the trend continues. All right. I mean, you notice what the model's doing, and then this was as of last evening. It's got it, just north of Cuba. But you can see that the model over the course of several days has pushed the storm further south, which is good news for our area, obviously, but does potentially carry some negative impacts for Florida and the southeast. Just because the trend has been this doesn't mean that this is what it will stay. But we wanted to show you, in just 2 days, the forecast model, the computer model, went from projecting a New York City impact to keeping it south of Florida. So that's why we stress the caution. It's great to have an emergency plan. Absolutely. Have supplies ready, have a plan of action so that if things go bad, you know what to do and you're not scrambling at the last minute. But when you can see a computer model shift, a forecast shift of 1,500 miles in the matter of 2 days, you can kind of understand why we don't want people taking this data to heart. Don't get hung up on the details right now, because so much can and will change. So that's really what we've been trying to drive home over the last few days. And just to show you, the European model is less drastic, but you can also see it over the last couple of days. You can see what happens here, how it pushes it further south. So again, the trend right now has been to push the storm further south. It does look like the storm will track north of, just north of Puerto Rico, hopefully, sparing our friends down there. But then it does look like it's going to push toward Cuba and the Bahamas. And, from there we'll have to see if we can get a frontal boundary to, kind of deflect this thing back out to sea. There are a lot of unknowns, a lot of variables here. So that's what we're looking at right now. Just wanted to share the latest that we've got on it. So, develop a plan, keep an eye on it, but like I say, no need to panic at this time. Thank you very much for watching Hudson Valley Weather, and we'll talk to you soon.